live. What's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining us. Another great episode of Nooner Nation, podcast for Nooners by Nooners. And we have a special guest tonight. Somebody not necessarily from the Nooner Nation, but I think somebody you would be fascinated to hear his story and his cause. I am joined tonight by Travis Hall from Second Chance K9s. How you doing tonight, Travis?
I'm good, man. Thank you so much for having us on here. I really appreciate it. I listened to a couple of your podcasts actually leading up to this, and I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a fun one.
Yeah. Yeah, we tend to have fun. We don't take ourselves too seriously, you know.
No,
There's
no.
there's plenty of if you're wanting, serious political talk or questioning the efficacy of like vaccinations, like you can go find that
Oh,
pretty much
dude, that
anywhere you look, you know.
I'm
So,
I, I've I'm actually in a hotel. If as you can see, like me and Shaw are chilling in a hotel right now. Shaw obviously working the hardest today. He was my driver and all of that.
yeah.
So we're in Texarkana tonight, and we're making our way to Houston tomorrow, and then after Houston, we're going to Lubbock, and then after Lubbock, we're driving all the way out to Reno to go pick up a dog. So
Man,
it's going to be a great, crazy couple days.
yeah, a lot of road time, a lot of gas stops. I'm guessing. I'm sure you're not you don't look like the kind of guy driving a Prius for these kind of trips.
Dude, I rented a car for this one just because I have more dogs than my car will hold.
Right.
So my wife actually makes fun of me. I rented a minivan for this one because I can fit a bunch of kennels in it.
Yeah.
And so, and they're in the car, they're not in the back of a truck. So I rented a minivan, and my wife was like, get that minivan out of my driveway. I've been trying to trick her into a minivan for a while now, and she's not having it. So
Oh, that's the exact opposite of me. I've been like trying to keep my wife from bringing a minivan home. You know, she's like, they're so
I,
convenient. We got two kids. I was like, but like, I don't know, Tahoes are cool too. You don't have
yeah,
to.
the thing is, this minivan can outlast me on gas. So we'll be driving down the road, and I'm like, I've got two dogs with me this week, and I'm gonna have three on the way back, or four on the way back. And this minivan can outpace me on gas for gas versus P stops. So I'm
Right.
like, yeah, I'm like, I'm starting to do the pee pee dance a little bit, and I'm starting to hang out, and I'm like, we're stopping early to get gas, and so, dude, my truck gets the worst gas mileage, but it's actually good because I have to stop a lot, for the dogs and myself.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
this one's been brutal.
My truck got decent gas mileage until recently when I finally wore out the tires that were on it when I bought it and put the tires I want on it. Now the gas mileage ain't so good. You know?
Yeah, I drive a Forerunner. It's a pretty decked out Forerunner with a lift and
Yeah.
all the bumpers and stuff. And so I'm at like 11 or 12 miles to the gallon, which is not a good thing when you're rescuing dogs,
Yeah.
and you're driving. I'm at like last month I had 42 hours of driving for dogs. And it's only December 2, and I'm already at Nashville to Texarkana to Lubbock to Reno to Nashville. So I think it's like one way just to Reno was like 37 hours. So add all the little stops in
Mm-hmm.
between,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'm burning down the freeways for these dogs. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we kind of get into the details about your organization you founded, can you go ahead and just give us like a quick rundown of your history, your background?
Yeah. So I joined the Army to become a Special Forces guy. When I got to Special Forces, I did my normal time on a team, and then out of pure selfishness, I asked if I could stay on a team longer, because I was due to go rotate and teach at Fort Bragg, and I didn't want to. I wanted to stay in a team. So they were like, well, the only thing we have is dog handling. If you want to be a dog handler, you can stay on the team. And I was like, I will take it, and so I jumped on it, not knowing really what I was getting into, and so just kind of jumped on it, embraced it, went and did all the training, and ran my dog over in Iraq for 4 trips. So I've got 18 total combat deployments, 7 to Iraq, 10 to Afghanistan, and 1 to Africa. And so, but what's crazy for me is the ones that stick out to me the most out of all of that, like carnage and shooting at people and being shot at, is the trips I took with Bear, my dog, and so with that, I got out of active duty in 2010 and contracted, in Afghanistan. And so, I didn't think was my dog, but eventually he retired to me, and it changed my whole life. So I wanted to offer that same thing that he offered me. I wanted to offer that to other veterans. So we started rescuing dogs, really not knowing what we were doing, rehabbing them and just giving them to our teammates and stuff. And eventually it became Second Chance K9, where, we're an official nonprofit. We are, we are a rescue. We rescue these dogs and then we try to turn them all into service dogs. Not all of them are capable, since we are working with rescues. But yeah, that's our goal, man. That, having him overseas made such an impact on not only my life, but like all the guys on my team's lives and everybody that was around him. So, we just want to do it to honor him.
Awesome. So when you went to, when you got your dog in the special forces, was Bear already trained, or were you responsible for training him?
So it's crazy that the way it went, but I went through 3 different dogs because we were expecting so much out of these dogs. And just like going and trying out for special forces, like not everybody can make it, not everybody's capable. And so Bear was actually my 3rd dog in trying to find the right dog for what we were asking them to do. I had a little dog named Bo who was pretty sick. He had a heart murmur, so he got failed. And then I had an older dog, but she was just terrified of floors. Like any different floor, kind of like scared her to death. So we recycled her, and then that's when I got Bear. And having Bear was just it was awesome, man. Like he came green. He came very like he came very green. In his training, he had like that base of training from Europe, but we really, when we got him, we polished him and made him perfect, kind of thing.
So you mentioned Europe. So like, are most dogs like, do they get like preliminary training from I'm assuming like a contractor in Europe or something?
Yeah. So there's like the most impeccable breeding out of these dogs comes from Europe, and I think Bear came from a kennel where he named everything after he named it in Latin, right? So Bear's real name was Ferris or Iron,
Okay.
but he just it never took. He looked like a little bear, so we just ended up calling him Bear because it was much easier for my kids at the time to say. So plus he had a little dock tail, so he just looked like a little bear with big ears running around. But yeah, most of the military dogs come from Europe. They just have the best breeding programs for these dogs. The dogs are from that area, so they have the best lines that ship, that they ship over here. And Bear, just being the baller that he was, I think he came from like an Eastern European breeder. I don't know for sure because we don't have that record when like agencies buy them. So what they do is they go on buy trips where they go over there and they'll look at hundreds of dogs, and they'll decide, hey, we want these 30, and then they ship them over here to the States to get put into our programs.
Awesome. So you got out. So what year, I guess, was it when you decided to kind of start doing Second Chance K9s as a nonprofit? I know you mentioned, you had your dogs, you had a couple other dogs, but then you eventually made the decision that like, hey, this is what you want to do, is start this nonprofit.
Yeah. So we didn't actually think we were going to rescue Bear. We thought he was going to go to another handler because he was kind of young. So we thought he was going to be another dog's, go on more deployments and stuff. He just didn't do very well without me. He had we had such a tight bond that when I left, he just started having separation anxiety. He was biting people. He was just a terrible dog. And so long story short, they called me up, and I was going in there every once in a while and checking on him and helping them with him and feeding him and cleaning him and all stuff like that. And the kennel master was a friend of mine, and he just kind of handed me the paperwork and said, hey, take your dog. He's just trouble. We don't want him. We've got it approved. You can retire to him. So with that, once we had Bear, we started like seeing like, okay, at that point I had like multiple deployments under my belt. I had all the training courses under my belt. And so we kind of like just started picking up dogs that were in pretty desperate need, mostly from like the pound or by word of mouth. And we would just put some training into them, and then we would donate them to friends. That was 6 years ago, like that was almost 6 years ago. We've been a nonprofit for 2 years, and we're really able to, with the nonprofit, we're able to do so much more because, we have finances to do this. We have the ability. We can ask for money to build better kennels, and we can ask for money to, we still need an indoor kennel. We have an outdoor kennel. We still need an indoor kennel, which is substantial. With the building prices and everything the way it is, it's going to be $130,000 for an indoor kennel, kind of thing. And so, but by us being a nonprofit, we were able to kind of like make way better decisions and build infrastructure that aligns with the nonprofit,
Right.
and not just doing it out of pocket, kind of thing.
Yeah, I can definitely see building price the way they are. That's going to be a pretty big expense. You gonna go heated floors in there for the dogs?
Probably not heated floors, but I am gonna, because the electricity is going up, everything's going up. We're gonna put a wood stove in there,
Okay.
kind of thing, and then we can kind of heat the dogs that way. We'll have all the power and water and everything,
Right.
but man, it's just like I've noticed since it's starting to get colder, our electric bill, because we
Yeah.
heat the garage that the
Oh,
dogs
yeah.
are in, is like it's starting to skyrocket.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, oh crap, like, so I want to build a new garage, put a wood stove, put an apartment above the garage that veterans can stay in when they come hang out with us to get their dogs, and get them out of the hotel and get them more personal and hanging out with us.
Awesome. Yeah, I know. Like I put heated floors in my bathroom, and I can't get my dog off of them now.
I have a heated floor in my bathroom, and I when I'm not feeling well, and I'm like, I don't drink anymore, but when it's like just like not feeling well, I'll curl up on my bathroom floor and just let the heat soak into me while I'm laying there just not feeling good.
Yeah, he loves it. He's a 13-year-old Bassador, so he doesn't really do much of anything, anyways. So
No, we've got a couple of those. We've got a 13-year-old Mao that we rescued at 6 months old. They were gonna put her down. She had torn her ACL really bad, and she had heartworm. So the department was like they were just at a loss, and so they ended up calling me to see if I would take her, because the department couldn't keep her. She
right.
needed so much work, and then we've had her for 12 and a half years. So
Wow.
she's 13. She's still going strong. And we've got a 10-year-old that hangs out. She's my old dog, Barin. She's retired now, and I use a new dog named Kuma
Okay.
that goes everywhere with us.
Awesome.
Kuma, Barin, Oso, any dog that I get to name, I name them Bear somehow, some way. So
Gotcha.
there's like Oso is bear in Spanish, Kuma is Japanese for bear. Barin is like old world German for bear, like female bear. So yeah, any dog that I get to name, I name them Bear.
Awesome.
People are like, dude, enough with the bears.
Enough with the bear. Yeah. Well, then you can just start going like into like specific breeds of bear.
Right.
You have like polar.
That's actually, yeah, we can name one Polar. That's a good idea.
And then go through the different languages for polar, right?
Right.
It's
There's
pretty evergreen naming content you've got going on.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a Mishka, which is Russian for bear. There's a Misha, which is the little Russian doll from the Olympics, from the Winter Olympics in Russia. Yeah, there's all kinds of bears out there.
Oh, somebody asked a question in the chat. They're telling me about. Somebody in the live chat asked, "You train dogs on Frontenac in Afghanistan." He looks like a trainer he had while he was there in 2013, who had a dog named Bear.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
that's super cool. What's the question?
He asked, Jacob Nickel in the chat, he asked, hey, did he train dogs on FOB Frontenac in Afghanistan?
I did not. When I was in Afghanistan, I was a Green Beret guy. I was doing more of the assaulter thing. The only experience I have with dogs was in Iraq. That was my one opportunity. It's not like MOS for us, like being a dog handler in special forces is like an additional duty.
Right.
Unlike, like 18 Fox, which is the intel guy, or 18 Delta, which is the medic. And so because it was just an additional duty, we were only able to do it that one time. I got to do it for a little bit longer than I was supposed to. But I got to do it for 4 years. And then when you're done with that, you have to give it up and let somebody else come in.
Right. So I was wondering, so you're now like an actual like registered nonprofit. Is that a pretty difficult process to go through?
Not yeah, not only difficult but very expensive. I mean, if you can manage to do all the lawyer paperwork yourself, you can save thousands of dollars. But I'm not that lawyer smart, and I really wanted it to be done correctly and not to like hit hurdles and hit things that were gonna mess us up in the long term. So we hired an attorney. My wife and I hired an attorney to help us with the paperwork, and it was about $4,000 for the attorney, just to get them to get through the paperwork. They really made it streamlined for us though, and because they made it so streamlined, we actually got approved on our first try, which I've been told, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've been told it's actually rare to get the first time approval. So
Right.
it was well worth the money. Tons of time. Like of sitting behind a computer and just like, because he or she will send you just a list of things that you've got to like figure out, whatever that, hey, what do you want your name to be? Like what's your work address? What's your email? Like just so much paperwork. What's your mission statement? Like who are your board members? And so, it took me probably 4 months of just sitting behind a computer every chance I got, filling out the questionnaires that he was sending. And then we actually got approval the month I went to Africa for 9 months. So we got approval. We kind of sat on it because I was in Africa with the army, and so I was in Niger, and so we sat on that for we just did like Facebook fundraisers and stuff like that till I got home, and then when I got home, we were able to jump into it full force.
Awesome.
So we've been a nonprofit for like 2.5 years, but really almost 9 months of that I was deployed. So
Are you still active duty reserve, or are you out
no,
now?
I'm a guard guy now. So I got out of active duty in 2010, and I'm in 20th group. So I'm in 20th group out of Alabama. And this after Africa, I just asked. I was like, hey, I've deployed 18 times. I'd like to kind of take a break and do more teaching and be home more. So I've kind of stepped into more of like a teaching role than a
Gotcha.
deployment.
Yeah, gotcha. I wasn't sure. I'm not a veteran. I just happen to hang out with a lot of them because we have the same like dark sense of humor, I've found.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So
You got to have dark. If you don't have dark, you shouldn't be here.
yeah, yeah. But so yeah, I figure I assumed that a nonprofit filing for that would be pretty intense because I've done a couple just like filing for patents, and even that is just like the most like eye
I mean,
rollingly
it's
bloated
government.
process. Oh yeah,
Yeah. Oh, you've got to get through the government, so you've got to get through all
yeah,
of that bureaucracy
yeah,
of that, like, hey, we really want, we want this and we want that.
yeah,
And it did take me a couple times of like submitting to the lawyer and saying, hey, this is it. This is what I think is the final draft. And him being so smart on it, he was like, nope, it's not the final draft. He'd kick it back, redline all the stuff that I messed up and then have me do it, resubmit, so
yeah.
while we didn't submit to the IRS multiple times, we did submit to the lawyer like multiple times.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, I guess in reality, I mean, it is expensive. But if you were just doing it on your own, and the IRS is redlining things, then talk
Right.
about a nightmare.
Can you
You'd still be
imagine? Like,
applying.
oh yeah, dude, it would take 6 months, like from submittal, to like get your red line paper back. That takes another 6 months. So totally worth it to do through the lawyer. He just knew the legal speak that I didn't know,
Right.
and it was pretty awesome because it was like it's a family affair. My son who's 9 got involved. My wife got involved. She's very heavily involved, and we were able to just kind of knock it out, give our goals and dreams, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, has it been going pretty well so far? I mean,
It's been going good. I mean, we've been super blessed. I mean, I can't even like think of all the people who have blessed us. Like Black Rifle especially has been super good to us. Evan, Evan and I were contractors together,
oh okay,
and so yeah, so Evan's just a solid human being, man. And I honestly have to say that like there's not a lot of people, not even me, affecting the veteran space like Black Rifle is. Like Black Rifle last year through BRCC Gives donated over $1 million to veteran causes, you know, and
Yeah.
so for them to be changing and influencing those veteran spheres like they do, um, you know, they are the reason we're able to do what we do. We used the money that they donated us for straight up infrastructure that we are not able to do ourselves, you know, like drainage systems and
Hmm.
fencing and, you know, like putting kennels together. And, you know, and without them, we'd still be like, you know, I'm very particular on how the dogs are taken care of. And without them, we'd still be like substandard taking care of the dogs, you
Right.
know, like I hold ourselves to a very high level of care, and we couldn't do it without them.
Yeah. Yeah, they're great. I know I've never met Evan in person, but we talked off air about I was in Nashville for Rob O'Neill event in September, and as I was flying out of Nashville, I bumped into I don't know if you're familiar with Ray Cash Care.
Mm-mm.
You don't know him? He's kind of a I think he was a Teams guy, like a SEAL, but he's a big online personality guy.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
I think he just signed on to partner with Black Rifle and stuff. And I was talking to him, and he just happens to get a FaceTime from Evan Hafer. He looks at me,
Oh,
he's like,
that's
"Oh, have
cool.
you ever met Evan?" I was like, "No, but like I'm a fan." And Evan doesn't know me at all. I'm just some random, skinny kid from Iowa hanging out with this guy. And he ended up having like a 30-minute conversation with me out of the blue on FaceTime while he
Yeah.
was waiting for his flight. So it was
Evan,
awesome.
that's some bullshit. I don't get any FaceTime calls from you, Evan. That's some
Uh,
bullshit. I'm calling you out.
hey, I'm sure he's watching. So, no, and to be fair, he wasn't calling me. He was calling the other guy. I just happened to be there. But yeah, and I know like the Black Rifle Give stuff. They're going public. I think pretty soon, spring, I believe, as a company. I don't know if you've heard that or not, but
I haven't.
yeah. So I think they've started the filing process to go public. And from what I've heard from people I know, within the company or connected to them, is part of their, you know, mission going forward from going public is that a very large amount of stock, multiple millions of dollars is going to go directly to the BRCC Gives Foundation.
Dude, that's
So,
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just the whole crew at BRCC Gives is just amazing, man. You know, like I'm super good friends with Tier, who was running it. I think he's actually taken a promotion, so he's not running BRCC Gives anymore. And Nicole was like his right hand there at BRCC Gives, and those guys crushed it last year. I'm super excited for the new regime that's taking over. Just
yeah,
to kind of integrate with them.
yeah.
I'm not as familiar with those guys. Tier and I are team guys together, so
Okay,
like ODA guys together. So we kind of like know each other, you know, personally as well as
awesome.
you know as well as the give side. So it should be, man. It's such a good thing that they're doing, and it's needed. You know, the VA is as a great organization, and it's got its heart in the right place, but it's still a very much a government run organization. So there's so much bureaucracy that's always going to go with the VA. And so without companies like BRCC Gives, you know, Second Chance K9, Military Mobility, Veterans Adventure Group, without all these like nonprofits kind of like poking holes in the dam, you know, of veteran suicide, it's going to be super hard to change it. And, you know, nobody's going to change the veteran space like we are going to change the veteran space, you know, like veterans, you know, first and foremost need to kind of make it known what they're trying to do and what they'd like to do. And then, you know, supporters of veterans, you know, can kind of do the same. If you have a rad idea to help veterans, and jump on it and throw it out there, because dude, I'm telling you, ever since the closeout of Afghanistan, you know, I'm starting to lose more buddies
Yeah,
now than the last few years, you know. And I think it's all because, you know, they're just sad, dude. They're just sad the way it ended. They're sad to see what's happening. They feel you know, kind of dishonored in how things went, you know. Like I spent, you know, like I was in the army before the war, but only for a few, you know, for a few years, and I've only known war my entire career. And so for guys that don't have something like Second Chance K9 to kind of cling to, you know, I could see how it'd be super hard.
yeah, yeah. Somebody in the chat actually just said part of that going public. I think he said that they're projecting about $5 million is going to go directly to BRCC Gives. So
That's dude, that's so amazing, man.
yeah.
That's like it's incredible to know what, like think about what $5 million like. So Jeff Bezos was doing his big give thing the other day, and so I messaged him and then put like a bunch of tags on his Instagram, and I was like, brother, if you gave us $5 million, you gave the Obama Foundation $100 million, you gave this other foundation $150 million, like if you gave us $5 million, like or even 2.5, like we would immediately go and buy a property and build 6 micro kennels for the dogs. And every micro kennel is going to have an apartment upstairs so that veterans can come stay with us. We're going to build a range on this property. We're going to have ponds out there and trails. And we really want to make this like this ultimate retreat for when guys are suffering. They can come out to us and help us work the dogs, help us train these dogs, help us take care of the dogs, and, just pull their minds out of whatever garbage they're in at that moment, kind of thing. And so I'm messaging Bezos all this, I'm like, Jeff, what's up, bro? Like hook it up, and then of course I didn't hear back from him, but I thought it was pretty funny that I was like, like I sent him direct messages. I put it in his feed so he would, hopefully see it, just I didn't get anything back though.
I don't know. From what I hear, his ex-wife's the more charitable one of the two, right?
I know. I need to hit her up and be like, hey, what's up, girl? Like, I need some money.
You know what? Fuck Jeff.
Yeah, throw a couple slurs about Jeff in there. So she'll like.
Yeah, that bald fuck going to space. Like, what's he think he's doing?
Right.
Like, something shaped like a dick. What's up with that? Hey, you got an extra $5 million?
Well, I mean, he is Doctor. What's the from Austin Powers? What's that?
Oh, Dr. Evil.
Dr. Evil. Yeah. He looks just like him. So.
Yeah.
I love you, bro. If you watch this, I still would take your money, homie.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The only thing, my biggest thing about the whole space thing was, for some reason, I got incredibly annoyed that he was wearing his watch like on the outside of his spacesuit. I don't know if you saw.
That's what astronauts do, though, right? They wear their Rolex on the outside of
their spacesuit. That's maybe what he's doing. He was sponsored by Omega, so he had this like huge puffy jacket thing on. I don't even know if it was a spacesuit, but he had this like Omega watch strapped to the outside of it. I was like, come on, Bezos, get some style. Like,
I'm kind of into the way the other guys are doing it. How they picked like this grouping of people that have, like all different walks of life. It wasn't about the money at all. Like it wasn't like buy a seat on Tesla's flight. It's straight up like, they've got like a pilot who's like a longtime pilot, an entrepreneur who's like the lead. Then they've got a nurse or a PA. I can't remember if she's a nurse or a PA who's a cancer survivor that, like, and then they've got like just this all-star cast, and they really kind of like did a good job of picking people that kind of represent everybody and, that they're trying to represent to go to space in the Tesla system.
Yeah. I know I think, I have my own opinions about Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk really, but the privately financed space race has been something pretty awesome to watch. I think it's going to have some pretty big ripple effects throughout the years, from this.
Oh man. So my nephew, who, I mean, I was a teenager when he was born, and he's just amazing kid. He's an intern for NASA, and I just like, I hit up Gabe all the time and I'm like, dude, what's going on now? Like what's going on now? And it's crazy, like to think about the things that they're doing, the leaps that we've taken in technology in the last 50 years, just 50 years, of advancements it's insane.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think I saw fairly recently they're wanting to land on the moon again in like 3 years. So that'd be interesting.
I think that's Tesla, isn't it? That's Tesla trying to do that.
Possibly.
I think they're all about those reusable rockets. So they're trying to go to the moon and have it so that it's a recyclable, reusable system, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So we'll get into what everybody's here for, which is the dogs.
Yeah.
Everybody loves dogs.
Well, you see Shaw like working really hard over there on the couch. I don't know if you can see him.
Yeah.
Kind of blends.
Yeah. Yeah. He looks like he's had a rough day.
A rough day riding in the car for 10 hours.
Yeah.
All they did was sleep the whole time. Hey, Shaw.
Oh, there he is.
Good boy. This is Shaw. So Shaw is a 2-year-old Belgian Malinois that we rescued as a 6-month-old. He got kind of naughty, so we brought him back to the rescue, and we're able to work with him a little bit. He needs a firm hand, is what it boils down to. When he gets naughty, he needs someone to be like right there on top of him that'll tell him no. You know what I mean, and kind of like get him back on track. And so I'm just traveling with him right now. We're delivering a dog and we're picking up a couple. So I'm just kind of traveling with him, putting the time back into him, and making sure he's just a good old boy before he finds his forever home again.
Yeah. Everybody's talking about my cough. I don't have COVID. I actually had to go get tested. It's just a sinus infection. So I woke up Tuesday with a raspy voice. I was like, oh no, like I got this thing with Travis. So I went, you would have thought like I was cooking meth, coming out of the pharmacy with all this. So
Right.
I will say one thing, of all the downsides I can imagine that meth has, your sinuses are probably pretty awesome if you're on meth.
Dude, I can only, I haven't done meth, but I can imagine it would be a very clearing experience.
Yeah.
A burning experience. Like
Yeah.
I just like it's chemicals in your nose,
Right.
like.
So your rescue, I think I went, I did some research. I didn't want to go too deep because then it leaves me nothing to really ask. But
Yeah.
it seems like so you guys focus primarily on Malinois, German Shepherds, and then I believe there was another one, right? Was it a
Dutch Shepherds.
Dutch Shepherd?
It's all very much that high drive breed. Like if you see a police officer working with that dog or a military guy working with that dog, that's who we're working with. It's a pandemic right now. The fact that people are getting these dogs and don't have a solid understanding. Like I saw one tonight actually. Lady's got like a 7-month-old baby, and these dogs, if you don't train them right, and when they're puppies, they're very like they have so much drive and so much want, to kind of be like that like alpha dog. And so obviously she got it when she was pregnant because the dog's a year old, the baby's 7 months old, so she had to get it somewhere in that pregnancy. And it just blows my mind that people are like, hey, I'm gonna get this dog, and then, oh well, I'm blown away that now this dog's like biting at the baby, it's barking at everyone. Yeah, it's being like number one, it's jealous of the time that you spend with the baby because it's a baby.
Right.
A 1-year-old dog is still very much a baby. Number two, it's not able to get the exercise and the play that it needs to do in order to burn off that like negative energy because you have a baby, and so you're like focused on your child, and so the dog builds more resentment towards the baby because it's not stupid. It sees that baby as something that very much is keeping mama from playing with me, so the dog can get upset as well, and so we work with this breed because there's such a problem in people getting them with not understanding what they're getting into. And then all, like at a year old, or like I've got Oso in the kennel right now. He's 18 months old. He's biting like crazy. And I have to go back and do bite work, or like anti-bite work with him to get him to stop, and it's a terribly long, painful process, because I wasn't able to do it at the right moments when they were little, so now I'm having to do it when they're a full-grown dog with full-grown dog teeth, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. That's something I did hear you say a lot in your videos on YouTube. Is that you mentioned high drive dogs. Could you kind of explain kind of what you mean by high drive?
Yeah. So, I mean, if everybody's seen them and the videos of the police officers where they're like shaking the ball or twirling the ball, and the flash of a dog that comes by and steals the ball from them, that's like high drive. These dogs are bred. It's in their DNA to be bite dogs, and so, the really, really good ones, we don't get the really good dogs. We get kind of like the ones that don't make great working dogs because not every single dog out of a litter is going to have that natural ability or that natural drive to bite. You have to foster it and build it up. But we look for that low drive, high drive dog, if that makes sense. We want the one that's still driven enough to get these guys moving, get them off the couch, get them back into life. But we also don't want it to be so insane that it's causing the guy trouble,
Right.
or guy or girl trouble. We do understand that our dogs are a lot of maintenance, and we try to prep you with that. That's kind of one of the reasons we've stuck with the special operations community for now, is because all my former special operations guys have all deployed with this dog. They might not have been the handler, but they've been on the ground. They've lived in the house. They all have experiences with these Malinois, which makes them like the perfect guys to get these rescues, because without Second Chance K9 repurposing these dogs into service dogs, the alternative for these dogs is to be put down, so we work really hard. We make sure they're ADA compliant. We make sure that they're just amazing dogs. All of them are amazing. Not all of them are service dog quality, so we do have a pretty high fail rate. When a dog shows like negative behavior, like Oso, who's in his kennel, is going to take me a little bit longer because he's a biter. He actually bit me. Like he got mad and bit me, like a pretty solid bite. He grabbed my forearm and went to shake it. And, so I have to really work hard on these dogs and focus that drive that they have into a job, which is being a service dog.
Gotcha. Is that, I mean, I think you kind of alluded to it earlier, but I can imagine that's probably the biggest reason you see a lot of these dogs either being rescued by someone like you or in shelters, right? People get them. I mean, they're cool dogs. I mean, I'll admit.
Biting is 100% biting. It's biting because these dogs need that direction. They need that firm hand. They need that, and so if you let them start getting away with it, an inch becomes a mile, kind of thing. And so biting is the number one reason we see these dogs end up in the shelter. Biting or destruction.
Right.
So it's between those two. The fact that if you don't house these dogs correctly, if you don't exercise them correctly, if you don't feed them correctly, they can become destructive.
Yeah.
Super destructive. I mean, like, chew this drywall in this hotel that I'm sitting at. Like, this coffee table is free game. If I'm not working Sean and making it, my computer's free game.
Yeah.
I've caught them with my phone in their mouth. It's just anything and everything. Normally, it's whatever you value the most is what they want to destroy.
Oh yeah. I have a police officer friend, and she adopted a Malinois that I guess didn't make it through to be a work dog for the police department here, and she had him with her in the car. She was pumped gas, thought it was fine, like cleaned her windows, fine, got in the car, and in that amount of time, the dog had chewed off the seatbelt in her Lexus.
Yeah. So, so the Channing Tatum movie that's coming out about the demon dog. Oh, you're just a demon. I don't know if you've seen the trailer. It's a ranger dog, and they're trying to take him to like a ranger funeral. Okay. I went through handler course with a few rangers, right? And so I think actually one of the handlers that I went through the course with was on set as an advisor, because that exact situation where that dog eats his seats happened when we were at the dog handling course. The handler was doing bite work with another dog, and his dog was in the kennel. The dog destroyed the kennel, got out of the kennel into the rental car, and destroyed the entire passenger seat. So this is like week 2 of an 8-week course. So they drove that car around with a destroyed passenger seat for the last 6 weeks. And then at the end, they just like turned it into the rental car place at the airport after hours. Oh, yeah. It was just like, and just never said anything. I mean, it was on a government card, so I guess it got covered. But
I hope they got that $6 insurance,
Right? Yeah, but that dog broke out of his kennel, destroyed the passenger seat in that car, and then just was like smiling and happy with like foam hanging out of his mouth when they came back to the car that day.
Yeah, I know. Like, I know people that have Malinois. Mostly, I don't see a lot of people with German Shepherds anymore. It seems like Malinois are kind of the hot new breed.
It is the accessory right now.
Yeah, but I think that's probably why you're rescuing so many of them, is you get these people that see them, oh, this is what, team guys use. He's like, look at this dog. They see the YouTube videos of these things like doing tightrope walks,
Dude,
and like dragging down a 300-pound dude,
Yeah, I've yet to be able to teach a dog to get on a rope. I don't know what they do to teach that dog to get up there. I've been trying because I'm like, I wonder what they do to teach that dog to walk on a tightrope.
Yeah.
But maybe mine are they're just because they're all rescues and their previous trauma, maybe they're just not ready for that.
Yeah, but I think, people get them because they think they're cool, and then, don't realize this high drive you're talking about, and they're like, hey, I just want to sit down and watch SEAL Team on CBS with this dog. But the whole time it's like chewing my door apart to my bathroom.
Right. Well, and I mean, it's definitely, and I'm not saying it like, there are definite success stories, like there are people that live in apartments that have Malinois. There are people that live, like that are on the road full time, that live in campers that have Malinois. It's doable. You just have to have the commitment level to do it. Like I don't care how long my day is. Like, I don't care how long my work day is. My work day could be 12 hours, and I still have to come home and work dogs out. I still have to come home and spend several hours throwing the Kong, several hours playing tug, several hours of just kind of beating up on each other, like wrestling with them and stuff like that. Not to mention, we have 12 dogs in the program right now. 8 of them are at my house, so I have several hours of dog shit I have to clean up every day, like, so, like cleaning their kennels and, the animal husbandry side of it, taking care of them. So it's, it makes for really long days. And we've kind of realized like where our happy spot is. 8 dogs is not our happy spot, so we're gonna, work towards this property to where we can have more dogs.
Awesome. So, when you rescue these, is it typically is somebody calling you saying like, hey, I know somebody that has this dog, can't handle it?
It's that. It's the referrals, the owner surrender referrals. It's the Facebook groups. We're in all the Malinois, Dutch Shepherd Facebook groups. It's also the pounds, like, so everything within a 200-mile radius of where we live has my business card and knows before they put a Malinois down that they can call us and we'll come look at it. Like not promising that we'll get it, not promising that it's a good fit for us, but we'll at least come and look at it, and kind of go from there. Ragnar, I don't know if you saw Ragnar's video on our YouTube channel, the blind dog.
Okay.
He came from a pound. Oso, who's with me now, he came from the pound. He was a death row dog.
Yeah, I did watch that one.
Yeah, Oso is a death row dog. He has a bite history behind him. He was, biting people pretty severely. Beignet, another death row dog. He wasn't necessarily biting people. He was just very standoffish with people, and he has heartworm. So he's just like this really hard dog to kind of like manage and take care of. And we, it sucks. And we want dogs that we can kind of like spend 6 to 8 months with and make them really good dogs and service dogs. But, right now we've got several dogs that are going to be year-long projects, before we can actually certify them.
Right. What's the attrition rate for a dog you adopt and train to actually be trained to a service dog as opposed to an adoption?
So if it's a puppy, we're fairly good about getting them through the training. We had one dog recently named Urso who, amazing dog. He just doesn't like people. I think even as a puppy, he was a rescue. So he was abused pretty severely as a puppy. So he's very he just takes him a minute to trust you, which is hard for a service dog because you want to walk a service dog into just random acts, oh, we're going into Lowe's, like you have to adapt. Well, we're going into a restaurant now, you have to adapt. And so Urso was just kind of slow to adapt. So instead of like forcing him to do it now, we adopted him out. If I had to put a number to our attrition rate as far as the service dog program goes, I'd say 60%. 60% are failures. If I was
60% fail out.
Yeah. If I was working with puppies, completely different story. Because at all at all the age hurdles, I'd be like, oh, now I'm going to expose you to this floor. Now I'm going to expose you to this building. Now I'm going to take you to a restaurant. I'm getting these dogs like Oso is 18 months old, and Oso's doing things that I do with like 2-month-old puppies,
Right.
and so if he can't adapt, then he'll probably fail out, but he's a really good dog. So I
Right.
think he'll make it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that too. Because I mean, you definitely want to have your dog ready to go, right? You don't want to force anything and then have somebody
Right.
adopt as a service dog. Next thing you know, they're like, hey, my dog just went batshit crazy and lows on somebody, right?
Right. And that's what we're trying to avoid, like we're looking for those negative behaviors. We're looking for like a positive. We don't ever want to have like a bite on our record, kind of
Right.
thing with the rescue. We want to make sure that we're above, we're kind of above that reproach, in
Right.
that, and plus we're making ADA compliant, American Disabilities Act compliant service dogs. That's not an easy thing to do, like the hurdles that you have to go through in order to meet those ADA rules are pretty strict, like they're extremely strict. And so that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. Is that like a certification program you've had to go through to do ADA or?
So I went through all the training courses for the military, like master trainer, dog trainer, advanced handler, beginner handler. And I am like looking for behavioral courses now that I can go to so that I can learn more, about like why, like I know why a Malinois does what it does, but I kind of want to like broaden my abilities and learn more about like animal psych, the animal psyche, and what pack mentality is, and stuff like that. So I'm looking for some behavior courses I can take and get certified in it as well.
Right. So then once you have a dog ready, like, are you trying to think how to word this? Are you training a service dog for someone specifically, or do you train them and then vet a
Um,
veteran
it,
to take care
yeah,
of them?
so we have a wait list where guys are have applied and they're waiting for their dog, and I rely heavily on um, spiritual guidance from Bear in order to do my pairings. I don't know if that like
Right.
I know it's super cheesy, but I don't pray or anything like that. I'm not a religious guy, but I very much rely on, like I kind of like I pose the question to Bear, like, hey man, what do like what do you, well, I talk to Bear every day, so I talk to Bear every single day. But when I have a dog who's kind of ready or getting ready, I start thinking about the person that I want to take them to. I start thinking about like, Bear and what he did for me. And I wait for that feeling, that it's the right pairing. And then, I feel like Bear, I mean, I feel like he talks back to me, he's my best friend, even though he's gone, he's still right there with me doing this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It definitely seems like a pretty strong connection, even still. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so you have a wait list. Like how long is the wait list? Is it?
The guy I'm taking a dog to tomorrow has been on the wait list for a year. We're a small organization, we're like it's legit me and my wife as the only, and we're not employees, we're volunteers,
Right.
but we're the only full-time volunteers. We just, we both work full-time jobs. So we do this out of like just pure love and affection for the breed and for our veterans. And so it takes us a little bit longer. We're not a for-profit service dog corporation.
Right.
Like we're not making these dogs and selling them for $40,000.
Right.
We're making these dogs and donating them to veterans. And so it requires a little bit more patience on your part if
Mm-hmm.
you're applying for a dog from us, because we do have restrictions. Like I have a full-time job. We only have 4 kennel slots at the house. Like we only have slots for four dogs, at the house. We're at 8 right now, but we only have the slots for 4, kind of thing.
Right.
And so it just takes me a minute to be able to get through the training. I incorporate the dogs into everything I do, and they like basically the dog kind of becomes my service dog in training while he's being trained, and I take him everywhere with me. They go to work with me. They go to, I teach the military full time for CQB and shooting and stuff like that. So they go with me when I go do that. They travel with me everywhere I go. The dogs get incorporated into my life, and that's how I'm able to make them such solid, because the amount of exposure that I give them is just so intense. they see everything that I see every day. So, it sucks because we do want to turn these dogs faster, but we don't want to turn out a bad product either.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And then somebody in the chat was asking if they're in the Nashville area, are they able to volunteer at your facility?
We're at our home, but I mean, if you want to come up and hang out at our house, we're like legit in our backyard.
Yeah.
We live in a neighborhood. Neighbors have been really, really cool. Like we very much try to keep the dogs from barking a lot. Like we have to sometimes use bark collars and stuff when we have like a noisy German Shepherd. But yeah, if you want to come hang out at our house and hang out with dogs, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah. Well, you're a big bearded guy who teaches CQB and then has a yard full of fur missiles. I don't think your neighbors are going to come over and give you too much shit, right?
They've called the cops. Like in the past, they've called the cops on us a few times.
Yeah.
But they're all my friends, so they come over and I give them a cup of coffee and we hang out. And then they, they're like, "Oh, cool. All right, we'll log it."
Yeah. Speaking of that, there was a question that I saw and didn't get a chance to ask, but I know Black Rifle did like a fur missile coffee. Like, were you involved in that at all? Or?
We were, yeah. We were the beneficiaries of that coffee. That coffee sold out in 12 hours, I want to say.
Yeah, that was the question. Like, ask this guy if he could give me fur missile coffee. Like, it sold out in a second like that.
Dude, it's gone. Like, it's straight up like that. It like legit hit. Like, I didn't even know, because we've been talking about it for months and months and months, and I didn't even know like that it was coming out, and then it hit. And my buddies at Black Rifle started texting me about it, and I was like, you know what? I know I don't even have any fur missile, so it's all gone, legit, like all gone. It sold out in 12 hours.
Yeah,
and we were the beneficiary. So So thank you guys for buying fur missile.
Yeah, sounds like a good problem to have, to sell out in 12 hours, right?
Right.
So well, that's great. What other? Have you ever had any? Because I'm sure some of these people get these dogs. Whether they really care or not. Have you ever had like somebody call you like, hey, this guy's got this Malinois chained to a tree outside. He's a piece of shit. You got to go and kind of get a little hostile and like say like, hey man, like, do you really want to keep this dog?
Yeah, dude, it actually happened with Kuma, our current service dog. Kuma, we got a call about Kuma. He was chained to a tree in North Georgia as like a month and a half old puppy. And so me and my buddy went over there. The guy who told me about it went over there, and I'm like, hey, I knock on the door, and I'm like, hey, this dog's that's not healthy for this dog, like, what are your guys' plans with the dog? It was pretty cold out. It was winter time, and so poor Kuma, his ears are like, if you look at like some of our videos, his ears will never stand because he just had such bad exposure when he was a puppy, and so. I'm like, well, like it got kind of heated, and we started kind of going back and forth, and I was like, well, what is it going to take for me to be able to get this dog off you right now? And they were like, $800. And so I drove over to the ATM, pulled out $800, threw it at him, scooped the dog up, and took him home. And Kuma has been our handsome little man ever since. So
nice. Well, on behalf of the Nooner Nation, fuck that guy.
Yeah. So Kuma is my new dog. Barin, like I said, she turned 10. And so she's cool with traveling with me every once in a while, but traveling with me full time was really starting to take a toll on her, like she's getting older. So, and she tore like an ACL a couple years ago. So we brought Kuma on just to be able to kind of like give her some rest. And sure enough, man, Kuma is like so freaking popular. If you see me out in public, please, by all means, come up and say hi and talk to Kuma, because he will happily let you pet him. One of the things I like to do is if you pet one of the dogs, I normally carry that dog's sticker with me. So if you pet the dog, you get that dog sticker. Like I have Shaw stickers with me, but Kuma is so sweet and so popular. Like we were in San Diego for some work and meetings and stuff. I ran out of Kuma stickers. That's how many people met Kuma, and I had to have taken several hundred stickers with me down to San Diego. And we like legit went dry on Kuma stickers. It was crazy.
Yeah. When I kind of announced that you were coming on the show, I got a lot of responses like, "Oh, Travis is an awesome guy." I got probably 4 times the responses like, "Is Kuma going to be with him?"
Oh my gosh, that's so fucked up. I hate you guys sometimes. It's a real thing, like when I walk into a room, because I have these cool dogs with me and they're so well behaved because I put so many hours into them. Like I'm kind of just the guy holding the leash, like what movie was that where like he was standing there holding their purse on the catwalk? It was
Was that
the
Forgetting Sarah Marshall? Or just like,
yeah. He
yeah,
was standing there holding the purse on the catwalk,
yeah,
and they were like, "Hey, can you get out of the
yeah.
picture?"
It's one of my
And it's
favorite movies. Yeah, he's standing there. Somebody's like, "Hey, Mutombo, get out of the way," because he's a big, tall, lanky
that
guy.
is that is me and Kuma's relationship. People are like, "Can I take a picture with Kuma?" And they're like, "Oh, will you take our picture with Kuma?" And I'm like, "He's my dog," like, and they're like, "Oh, we only want Kuma." I love me some Kuma.
Yeah. Well, earlier when you're talking about dogs getting jealous, I think you're starting to maybe drift that
Oh,
way.
dude, I'm trending. Like, I'm definitely trending. Stupid dogs. They all like, hey, I'm a person too, man. Love on me too.
Yeah. Yeah. So your nonprofit. You mentioned you donate these dogs. Um, I'd imagine though, like a year long training course for these dogs has to be fairly expensive. I mean,
Um,
your time
uh,
aside, I mean, is outside of that, I
yeah.
mean, just like
So
feeding.
yeah, all my time is donated. If you added it up, a service dog costs about $25,000. 25 to 40 is about the American average for a service dog. Because I'm donating my time, we're able to cut that down, significantly. But like vet bills aren't cheap. Food is not cheap, and we don't feed crappy food. We feed a very high end food. Um, vet bills are not cheap. Travel is not cheap. Like I'm legit a day into like a 5-day trip to go pick up dogs right
Mhm.
now, so 5 days of hotel to go rescue dogs out in Reno. Like, and the ones out in Reno aren't rescues, they're donation dogs. They're just amazing dogs that have had the most proper exposure I've ever had in a dog. I'm not even going to know what to do with these two puppies that are coming to us that have been like treated like kings, and compared to the ones where like drink and stuff
Right. Oh,
expensive, time aside, because percent donate all of my time. Melissa 100% donates all of time. You know, uh, food, gear, uh, medical, just everything. It really starts to add up. Kind of thing. And so, companies like Black Rifle are really the only way we can survive. Just the regular donations for just our regular monthly expenses, and then but we don't make a lot of headway until somebody steps up and does like a $10,000 donation and stuff. That's where we use all of that corporate money to infrastructure. And we use the donations, the everyday regular donations from kind of like keeping the lights on.
right. Right. So, we'll get to donation stuff here in a second, but are there any kind of like government grants or anything out there for what you do?
So I actually applied for a grant and we got it. And we're going to be someone to learn about the grant industry because the
Okay.
grant it's an industry, like it or not, it is an industry, and so we're kind of at a detriment because we don't know how to apply for grants, how to where to find the grants that we qualify for. So I applied for this a grant from a foundation, which was a direct application. It wasn't like go to the internet and search for it.
Mhm.
And thank God they gave it to us, and we're going to be able to send um, one of our board members to this school where she will learn everything there is to know about grants A to Z. She'll know how to write grants. She'll know how to research grants. She'll know how to do everything about it. So that's next school year. So after the summer, she'll be doing that for a whole year. That's how long that course is. And then from there, she can start writing us grants and looking for grants for us and stuff like that.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that would help. I'd imagine there's got to be, especially if you're donating these things to
Mm-hmm.
veterans, I'm sure there's got
Well,
to be.
and if we can get the grant going, like what we want to do for our kind of our utopia or our retreat for veterans is very much in the VA space. Like just getting our board member through the course is going to be magic because once she's through the course, she can kind of go to the VA and say, this is what we want to build. We want to build this place where guys can go retreat and there's therapy on staff, and stuff like that. would you be willing to help us build that? Like we can go to the Jeff Bezoses and present them with a built grant that a grant writer built, and say, hey, we're going to get this grant filled. It'll be 2 years before we see a grant. It's a year for her to take the course, like a whole year of her just taking the course, and then a year for her to search out grants and apply for grants.
Gotcha.
And then the way grants work, from what I understand, I'm not 100% on them, but you apply for them and then you get them that next week, or that next year, excuse me.
Oh, God. Yeah. Because they probably have to go through like appropriations and stuff. And
Yep. So as far as I understand, when we apply for the grant, we will find out about it the next year, the following year.
Yeah. Have you thought about reaching out to like the food brand you use and becoming like a marketing affiliate or something for them? Or
we were sponsored. We just the pet food store we were going through, which was an amazing store. Actually, we're close to where you're from. They just changed ownership, so we kind of like, we've been talking to the new owners, but they're not financially able to support us like the last guys were.
Gotcha.
So we lost our food sponsorship, so we're back on doing it ourselves. And we have 8 dogs at the house and 12 or 13 dogs in the program. There's one that I'm thinking about failing, just and adopting it out. But so we're feeding almost 14 dogs all the time. Like we burn through 50-pound bags of dog food. We just burn through them.
Yeah. So, anyway, so obviously we'll get to wrapping up, but obviously it's an amazing cause you're doing great work. You're an awesome guy donating all this stuff. Where could people
I'm not an awesome guy, but it's all good.
I say the same thing.
I have my dark side. I have my dark side.
Yeah. There's a group chat with people that see my dark memes and shit. And they're like, God, man, like, because the public doesn't know about this stuff.
Kids and dogs, man. Like, I'm awesome for kids and dogs, man. Everybody else can kind of like fend for themselves.
Right.
But kids and dogs, dude, I will always have my heart. I was the same way in Afghanistan and Iraq, all the kids would come up to me because they knew I was the big sucker that would hand them handfuls of candy. And all my cool guy pictures, like 90% of them, I'm usually standing there holding somebody's kid, over in Afghanistan or Iraq, like I didn't really, like, to me, kids and dogs are innocents, and it's my job to protect them as innocents,
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on Cujo then? Innocent? Not innocent?
Which one's Cujo?
Cujo, the dog from the movie?
Oh, dude, I haven't seen that. I haven't watched that movie.
Saber dog gets rabies, essentially.
Oh, okay. Then innocent, but still needs to be taken care of, you know? If he's gotten rabies and he loses it, then, like, it's not his fault he got rabies, but you still need to take care of it.
Right. So, to anybody listening, anybody out there, like, how can they help? Like, I went ahead and put the links and stuff in the description for this video of your Patreon and your website and stuff. But if you can,
Patreon is big for us. I really like Patreon because it's hard for me to interact if you donate off the website. We 100% do a handwritten letter to every single person that donates, where we physically have your address. If you donate to us in a way that we get your address, then we, like me, my wife, one of our volunteers, we all sit down and write, like, we take turns writing letters to you saying thank you. That's huge for me. I will always do that no matter how big we get. And then, but Patreon is a big one for me because I can actually interact with you on Patreon. Whereas some of these other ones, it's really hard to interact. Even Instagram is getting to the point where it's like, we're getting enough of a following that it's hard for me to respond to every comment because, man, the comments are just piling up, and so like I'm working full time and trying to work dogs full time, so, but I like Patreon because I check in like once or twice a week on Patreon. I do private videos to Patreon, giving like updates on dogs. You can get on Patreon for as little as a cup of coffee a month. Like I have a level that nobody's really signed up for yet, but like I'm willing to donate like all of my time and experience if you jump in at our highest level, and I will spend a day with you. So if you come in at our highest level, at the 1 year anniversary, you come out to the kennel, spend a day with us at the kennel. I donate like going to the range with you and teaching you things that I teach the military guys. So Patreon's really big for me. But if you just want to be a solid supporter and jump on, the website, that's amazing too. We truly appreciate everything we get. We try to like make sure everything we get is very accounted for, in that like we have like projects at the house that we're trying to knock out to make the dogs' lives better, like heated, like heat, like power and water out to the kennels was a big one this year, like for 21. So we've got power and water out to the kennels. Dude, it was expensive, it was, like running power 150 feet to some kennels, like you wouldn't think it would have been that expensive, but it was several $1,000s later.
Oh yeah.
And so those things all help us. We're really in it to make the lives of the dog as best as we can possibly make them. That's the stuff that helps us do that. If there's something specifically that you want to get involved in, like you want to buy because kit's expensive too. We try to give these dogs to our veterans with no financial burden to them. So buying a vest, $400 vest, and like a whole handler kit, like a $300 kennel, we'll probably have, when we donate a dog, we'll probably have about $2,000 to $3,000 worth of gear that goes with that dog, and so if there's a dog, or if you work for a company that wants to sponsor a dog, shoot a YouTube video. Like when I love making them on a dog is $400, like it costs us $400 to make a YouTube video, so that's filmed, edited, everything, but it's still like, if you want to get involved in a dog and sponsor a dog, man, that would be awesome. If you're a corporation that wants to say, hey, we can throw $6,000 at this next dog, like we'll name that dog after you, like you'll be the title sponsor on the YouTube page, name the dog after you,
right.
Like let's do this.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I would put the Patreon link in the video. So go check that out. I'll definitely subscribe after this. I could, I'll unsubscribe to a lot of the OnlyFans stuff that I'm involved in, and dogs
I've
are a
talked
better.
about making an only. Yeah, I've talked about making an OnlyFans, but it would be only feet, and it would be only, like the creepers that like they can subscribe to our only dogs
Nice.
feet.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say donating.
If you're OnlyFans, go ahead.
I was gonna say that like, I'll donate to a dog that's going to a vet, because the OnlyFans I've been donating to, it's supposed to be for her tuition, but it's been like 6 years. Like, I don't think she's going to school.
Yeah, I mean, she could be a doctor, like that, or a lawyer, like we've actually I've asked a couple of my board members, I'm like, well, if you make an OnlyFans, can I take pictures of your feet to like put it on there to raise money for the dogs? And they're like, no, we're not doing that.
So
I will happily put my feet on OnlyFans for dogs. Like, if you want to see these ugly feet, like, I'll put them up there for you.
There's somebody out there that will find your feet beautiful. I promise you that.
Oh man, they're so bad, dude. Like, my feet are so beat up from wearing boots and softer clothes my whole life.
And the internet is a wild and disgusting place. So.
Oh, I'm sure they are tattooed. Feet are tattooed. So
there you go.
There's a little bit of color in there.
Dude. So we'll wrap this up. Like I said, I've linked all your stuff below. Go check them out. Definitely, like, subscribe to your YouTube.
God, please do that. Please hit us up on Instagram and Facebook. I mean, gosh, guys, you have no idea how much that helps us. Getting our following over 10,000 will allow us to do swipe ups for, like different giveaways we're doing and different dog stuff, and so we're so close. Let me see where we're at today. We're, like we've grown so much this year. And we're so close to getting to that level where we're wanting to be, in that, we can, because for us, it's all about saving more dogs,
Right.
Like it's 100% about, like if we get our YouTube to like a global level, like some of these YouTube stars, all of that money will just go right back into dogs, like there's dudes out there with like that are making $300,000 a month on YouTube.
Oh,
We
yeah.
want to be that, so that we can rescue more dogs, and we can, hire people that are like, okay, I can take on 30 dogs right now because I can hire 13 people to take care of them right now, and that's where we want to be. We're at 6,500 followers on Instagram right now. And we're really trying to up those numbers. Our YouTube is slacking a little bit. Our YouTube is at let me look right here. Your channel. We are at 552 subscribers on YouTube. So if you guys want to we've got some really cool videos on there, man. I have a meeting out in Reno with a fellow trainer. So our YouTube is going to start getting more than just meeting the dogs. We're actually going to, I'm very reluctant to talk training, just because I train very differently. I train only Malinois. And so, but I have a trainer that I'm going to meet with in Reno who is he does everything, right? That's like his business. And he and I are going to kind of thinking about doing a podcast, like a weekly podcast about dog training and dog behavior and, how to stop your dog from doing this. And so kind of be on the lookout for that as well.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I think you'd probably do pretty well with the podcast. You seem very passionate and you're very well spoken. So, I think you do well. And YouTube is a really tough nut to crack, especially if you're under 1,000. If you're under 1,000, YouTube is doing you no favors, right?
No favor.
Once you hit that 1,000 mark, it kind of starts picking up pretty well. But man, it's an uphill climb to get to 1,000 subscribers.
So I mean, there's probably 500 people watching this right now. Just jump on over to YouTube and hit our like button for us.
Yeah, go hit the like button.
Yeah, smash it for us.
Yeah, smash the like button. So we'll let you get out of here. You've got a long day of driving tomorrow, man. But thanks for having us on, or thanks for coming on. And again, go check out Second Chance K9s. Subscribe to everything. Hit up the Patreon. Like you said, I was on there today, and you can get subscribed to it for less than what you're paying for whatever bullshit Starbucks you're buying every day. So, so go hit that up. And Travis, thanks again for coming on, man.
Hey man, it's my honor, dude. Thank you so much. I am so passionate about this rescue, and I will talk. Like I've said, I will happily stop what I'm doing and talk to anybody about it at any time. It's just who we are and what we want to do with this world. We all have our one little thing that we want to change and influence in the world, and these dogs is definitely our thing. So, by supporting us and liking all our stuff and jumping on Patreon, you're able to you're not only saving the life of a veteran, but you're saving the life of a canine as well.
Gotcha. Well, awesome, man. Thanks again for coming on. Everybody watching, as far as Nooner Nation goes, subscribe, go to iTunes, leave a review. It does wonders. But thanks for listening.